everyone, and welcome back to Arguably Speaking.
My name's Kiera,
My name's Sarah.
and we're filming this intro at the very because we are super smart cookies who forgot to hit the record button on our camera.
Yes.
And we wanted you to see our happy faces before you listen to this wonderful, wonderful episode.
Start with the good stuff, then we will disappear for a little while, and you're just gonna have to use your ears and imagine all of the wonderful expressions that we're making, hand gestures, etc. And then at some point we will miraculously reappear on the YouTube video, and we'll just keep on rolling with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here are future Kiera and Sarah with the rest of the podcast.
Do. Enjoy it.
And we're back at it with another episode.
Woo! This time we are back in video form as well. So if you're listening and watching on YouTube, hi, here are our faces.
We missed seeing you.
It's true. We had to work extra hard on looking good for this episode instead of just being gremlins on the couch with tea and blankets.
I know, we don't have any tea, but we do have
Friendship. Oh, gross. Just kidding. No. So starting off, I'm gonna be doing a fun little thing for this episode again, but as always, we're gonna start with a little debrief with the week, catch up. How's it going? Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Start.
Okay.
So basically, since we've gotten back, school has started.
Nice.
We have gotten back into a new quarter. And I am working more. So I am working 2 days a week, schooling 3 days a week, and working on my capstone thesis. So a lot of like that stuff. But the only other real class that I'm taking besides thesis is watercolor.
So fun.
Which is so much fun.
Wow.
So my homework is just to make little watercolor paintings. And I'm not great at it yet, but our teacher is also like, you know, the best way to learn watercolors is to just do them.
That's
and so
amazing. Yeah.
I've just been like doing that. And my New Year's resolution is like a creativity project every week.
Love it.
And this first week it was watercolors. To be fair, it technically could be watercolors for the rest of this quarter because I will be doing a watercolor project every week. But I kind of wanted to do different things. I think watercolors will be the default if I just like can't quite get myself together.
Good fallback.
Exactly. It's something that I'm already doing, but yeah, wanting to spice up the creativity in my life and have a lot of fun little projects that I want to do. And I'm very excited for it.
Cute.
But then I also am thinking about this. If any of my friends from Seattle are hearing this, no, you're not. I'm thinking of climbing more.
Okay.
Because I went once this year already. So, you know,
Nice.
once in the first 9 days. Pretty great.
That's great. Yeah.
And climbing is fine and whatever. And I'm like, it's okay. I just like haven't quite gotten into it, but I
haven't caught the bug yet.
Exactly. I did quite enjoy myself, and I could see myself using their guest passes significantly more.
Nice.
I still will not be buying my own membership yet, but I will be utilizing theirs to their full abilities.
Nice. You don't want it to go to waste, you know.
Exactly.
There you go. Have fun.
Exactly. So
I like that. I haven't
that's
heard you
my
say
little
that
update.
before.
I know. It's because I was like, wow, I sit at my little computer and like have my little typing and my little hunched shoulders and things, and like I should be active. And then finally, in slightly unfun news, I got my flu shot and my booster for COVID on Sunday together. And usually I don't have any reactions to vaccines. Usually I'm like fine and I can function. Sometimes I get like a little fatigued, but nothing that's like inhabilitating. But on Sunday, I was so exhausted. I like had the shivers and I think I was running a fever. I needed all of the blankets in my room, plus the 2 blankets that I have out in the living room, plus my space heater.
Oh my god.
And I was like curled in a little ball and I was still freezing.
Oh.
And yeah, I was unwell. But then the next day I woke up and I was like, I feel better. Not great. Should I call him for work? I guess I'll just take a Tylenol. And the Tylenol did wonders.
Wonderful.
And
Well,
then I was
that's good.
fine. Yeah, so that's
I'm
been
glad.
my life since our past podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will say when I did my flu and COVID shots together, I also was wiped out more than I usually am for vaccines.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's having like both at once.
I've had both at once
Oh,
before.
really?
Yeah.
Huh. I had never done it. So
Last year, I got them both at the same. Anyways.
darn. I don't know. I also feel like the flu has been particularly nasty and also more like prevalent in my life.
Mm.
Like people I know are getting the flu, which I feel like hasn't really been a thing that happened before to me. I don't know. I like
Yeah, it feels like people get colds
very
more often.
intangible.
And it's
Yeah,
like a sniffles and things like that. But people get
exactly.
like feverish
Yeah,
and
feverish and
unwell.
like throwing up and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
not fun at all. Okay, so updates from me. Also on the line of like New Year's resolution, etc., we have been filling out a gift that I got for the house every day, which is a little crossword calendar.
Yes.
And we have done, or at least we've tried to do significant progress on each crossword every day of the year so far. So Bella and I worked on today's a little bit. It's nice because the answers are directly on the back of the sheet. And
Mm.
so when you get to the really hard days, because honestly, you guys were
They're
not that good.
really hard. I worked on
Yeah.
one of them. And
Yeah.
I was like, it was also Saturday or Sunday. Like, it was a hard day
Yeah.
too. And I was like,
Those are
oh
the
my
hard, that's the hardest day.
God.
Yeah. No, it was really hard. We got to the point, I think Thursday through Saturday, Sunday, at least for the first few like weeks that we end up doing it, it's going to be okay, someone in the group looks at the word and then comes up with like another way to make the clue.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these clues like okay, it's a stretch.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know?
super big stretch. And I feel like the only way that the clue would make sense is if you already had like one or two of the letters
Right.
to help you out.
Yeah.
And there's very little like base words that you can
No,
get.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
They're all really tough. And also this crossword, I've done a couple different like crossword like electronic word game things, and this crossword has it so that it can be multiple words, but there's no indication that there's multiple
Mm.
words, you know? So one of the clues for today was something like get into a fight, right? And so I was like thinking, okay, maybe like tussle or
Hmm.
like brawling or something like that, right? And the tenses can give you some clues and things like that,
Yeah.
but the actual word, quote, like in quotation, was have at it. And it's like, I'm not gonna guess that the answer is gonna be three words,
Yeah, never.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, we've been having a lot of fun with that. It wasn't necessarily a resolution, but it's kind of been like a fun
Like a
house
daily, yeah.
bonding, like we're doing something that's intellectually stimulating, but also we're kind of giggling together and like, haha, these clues are ridiculous. Like, oh my gosh, why is this so
That is so
hard?
dumb.
Yeah.
Why?
Bah. So yeah, that's been really good. And I thought I would share it with the pod. Update for Kira that she doesn't know. I went and hung out with my friend in Seattle who I went to the same university as. I don't know if I shared their name on the pod. I don't know if they would want their name to be shared on the pod, so we'll just anonymon. But anyways, we went to a new craft store. And I was really excited about it because I don't know, craft stores are the best. And this one is like kind of a low number of stores. It's not a huge chain. I think it was a huge chain at once. It's called Ben Franklin.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been.
it was really fun. It
Cool.
was really neat. They had so many like fabric fat corners. Do you know what a fat corner is?
No.
It's just like a chunk of fabric, but they get folded into these cute little squares, and then they have all of these cute little squares lined up in a line, and then they have like trays and trays and trays of them, and they're
Ooh.
organized by like pattern, solids, and like flowers, and then sometimes they're organized by theme, so they had little like exhibition square
Oh,
things where it was like this is like a collection that someone put together, and like one of them was yeehaw, so it had little like horseshoes, and then another one had like cow skulls and stuff, and it was really cute. So If you have a Ben Franklin near you, definitely recommend. Very cute. We got a great puzzle. We bought the puzzle. We got pizza. We were like, we're gonna do pizza and a puzzle and watch a movie. And
That's ambitious.
I know. So I was like, you guys, I will not be able to do all of those things at once because we know me, very
I can
focused.
eat, I can watch, maybe together, but also
Yeah.
puzzle.
So
That's
I
crazy.
did not do the puzzle at all. We maybe connected like 15 pieces, but that's okay. We organized a lot of pieces by color and put them into baggies. And so now we have like a sort of sorted puzzle pieces in baggies in the box because we brought the box back here. But
Nice.
yeah, we watched the movie Whiplash.
I've seen that. It's about that's that drummer.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's that
It's kind of
one
intense.
actor. I
Miles Teller.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Great. Um, I don't know how you felt about it. Did you like it? How did you
Honestly,
feel
I
about the
saw it
movie?
so long ago. I don't remember except for it was like an intense drumming
Yeah,
situation, and I was like, wow, it's a lot of drumming.
it was.
Um,
I would say almost 25% of the film is just ret tat 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 tat, which
I can tell that you didn't like it.
impressive. I
Didn't like
thought I
it.
was gonna like it more, honestly. I didn't dislike it as much as our other friend though. Yeah,
Oh,
they were
dang.
they were not very entertained by the music itself. They were like, I don't know, I just feel like it's moving the sticks really fast, and
Mm,
that's not really music. And Bella and I were kind of like, well, it's like impressive.
percussion. Yeah.
You know, it's like really skillful music. Maybe it's not super like pretty, but it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's talent, that's skill, you know? And
Well,
so,
it's more
I
like
don't know.
rhythm than like
Right.
melodic.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I feel like some of that kind of led to not enjoying the film as much. But, anyways, it doesn't really matter. We watched a movie, we did not do the puzzle, and it was a lovely night. So, that's a little
Nice.
update catch up. I don't know. I think in other terms, since the last pasta, since the last time we recorded a podcast, not ate pasta, I did my first like garment project of the year, and I made
Mm-hmm.
some cargo pants, very on brand. So, I was pretty excited about that. But anyways, I think that we've blabbed enough about our personal
Yeah,
lives.
I'm
Let's
ready
talk more
for.
about our personal lives, but with direction
Yeah, I'm
and theme.
excited. Sarah is directing this episode
I am.
because we simply had many conversations of what's this podcast gonna be?
Yeah.
What are we gonna do this week? And we kept ignoring the subject. And then finally Sarah was like, I'll think of something.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I know this something? No. Cool. So I'm excited. It's so fun when I don't know what the podcast is.
It was funny because we spent maybe 6 or 7 hours together on Saturday.
Long time.
Yeah, it was a long amount of time. And some of that time working on a crossword.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot of that
anytime
time.
we didn't have like a conversation topic queued up, we would just look at each other and be like, so,
What's the podcast?
it should be something fun. And then, all of the bad ideas got shared again, much like last time when we were trying to think of what to do for that one.
Yeah.
But
But we're gonna get better at the podcast
yeah,
ideas.
if you have anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, like anything really, or like a question that you want us
Mm-hmm.
to discuss,
Many questions that we could
yeah,
have hot takes about.
it's true, how do you feel about
XYZ.
exactly? Can't even think of a question for myself right now. I will say that we had a very long conversation about body hair today, and I don't think that it's a podcast topic, but I was impressed with the amount of time that we spent on that subject
We could talk
in
about
particular.
social norms.
We could talk about that. That'd be pretty fun.
We'll keep you
Hey,
updated. You'll know in
you'll see. You'll see.
a couple
Okay.
weeks if it makes it there.
You can see if you're on YouTube that I have my laptop because I did not take notes, but I did save a couple different websites. But I'm just going to go off the cuff for a little while and then I can pull up some more detailed information that will help guide us.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
I got this idea from a conversation that I had with one of our past special guests, Bella, who happens to be on the other side of this wall, which is why I'm pointing behind me.
She's my neighbor.
Loves the fact that we sit in here and talk to each other all the time. Anyways, so we were talking and it's really fun to kind of consider those what if questions from the past,
Mm.
especially like in terms of big decisions that were made or like very defining moments in your
Oh my
life.
gosh, you kind of alluded to this at one point.
I
Yeah.
did a little bit. So we were talking, Bella and I, a little while ago about how she's always kind of wanted to sit down and kind of draw a map out of where her life had made kind of a branch.
Diverge. Yeah,
Right,
like a
exactly.
definite change.
Yeah, like a very sure decision uh, or like change of course. And so I took to the internet and I was like, what can I find that has to do with like large life decisions, changing trajectories, defining moments? Turns out the defining moments was the like buzzword.
Ah, the keyword
Yes,
search.
exactly.
Key
This is
terms.
what I needed. So basically I found a couple different websites that were talking about there are a couple different big decisions. There was one where this researcher was like interviewing people basically and saying like, "Hey, what are a couple of the biggest decisions that you've made in your life?" And how would you rank how important they were or how important they felt, and then like also how would you rank like the impact that that decision has had on you.
Hmm.
And so we can kind of go through a little bit of what he wrote and see what are some of the big decisions that we made. We can also just free spitball if you want to do that instead.
I'll listen about someone else's
Okay.
stuff. At least,
It we
yeah, maybe
I
later.
might still read out like the categories of big decision just to get
Okay.
our
Okay, the
like juices
categories are good.
flowing. I wouldn't read like the people that he interviewed because I feel like that's less interesting,
Yeah.
right?
I'm gonna read out like this man made a
No,
decision and
no.
this was his life story. And I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
It
that it's
like
yeah.
the synthesized like a lot of people thought that blank was the biggest decision that they had made in their life. You know?
But it wasn't actually. Like it's
Right.
probably a smaller moment.
Right. So, but like
Hmm.
some of them, are decisions that we haven't made yet. So some people said like the biggest decision in their life was deciding to have a child. It's like we haven't decided to have a child yet. Newsflash, we are not parents. Thank God. We would be great parents, but probably not in our current stance in
Yeah,
life.
eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe not me. Maybe. Definitely you.
I definitely want to have children.
But
So
anyways.
anyways, we can kind of read through the things and then identify like a big decision moment. And I think it would be really fun to say, okay, say you had like no repercussions going back to this defining moment, what is like another option that you would give yourself now?
Mm.
Even if you would still choose. So let's just give a very like simple example. A large defining moment was that I decided to eat eggs for breakfast. Looking back on that decision now, this is an example, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Looking back on this decision now, I think that I also could have chosen French toast. And I think that would have affected my day because I would have had more bread in it. And that would have given me more energy
Wheat,
right at the start.
not wheat.
It's
That is
true.
our entire diet.
Rain.
Rain. Dang
Rain.
it.
Kieran and I had a really long
Inside
conversation
joke.
about how you can categorize everything as grain or not grain. And that corn,
Is a grain.
definitely grain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's
Okay,
carry on.
so
We've dallied much too long.
categories that this man found are. Also, I found a survey. So if we wanted to take a survey, we could. I didn't think that we would really want to. Okay, so he has nine. The ninth is other. Eight large categories that these big decisions kind of fell underneath. So the first one is career. So, for example, choosing to start a new job or choosing to, close or open a business. The second
Um,
category is education. So, choosing a place to study, choosing a major or a specialization. I think that'd
yeah.
be kind of fun to talk about.
And I think it's really important here that a lot of these, I'm reading them kind of as we go, is they say like to do this and then in parentheses or not
Or
do
not.
this. Because not to not do something is a decision as well.
It's true, definitely. And sometimes that decision is like within your power and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, true.
Okay, third is family. So choosing to care for a family member or not, or get a pet or not. I really appreciated that that was included under family.
That's family.
I thought it was cute. Number four is finances. So, in terms of, buying, selling, etc., etc. Five is relationships,
Hmm.
all of those things. Six is relocation, moving
Wow.
to a new city. We know
Seems
someone who did
relevant.
that.
We know
Yeah,
everyone who did that.
everyone. So many of the everyone everywhere. Or choosing to not leave a place. We know
Yeah.
a lot of people who are still in the, cities and towns that we grew up in. So
Hmm.
there you are. Seven is self-destruction, and eight is self-development.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw these as kind of like I don't know, self-development, especially kind of like a catch-all for just,
Like bettering yourself, like
yeah,
changing more of like a mindset, it seems
right.
like.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
less of like a decision based on factors of like the outside world in terms like education and job and things like that, very much
Yeah.
impacting others.
Okay. I will say
Yeah.
like all of these categories very much are things that I would have thought of.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were gonna be like, choosing to go outside one day or something like that. Like
Oh, gotcha.
I thought they were gonna be like smaller categories, not like the bigger ones when you're like, oh, I'm gonna list them all out. But these all make sense to me pretty
Yeah.
much. Like there's nothing that feels like, oh, that's a light decision to
Pretty
do that or not.
intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I don't know, in a lot of ways, like psychology and sociology work is just providing data to
Support these kind
support
of
something that kind of
natural.
already makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when
That's true.
when you find something that doesn't support what would make sense, that's when you're like, whoa, ho, ho.
What's happening here?
Yeah. But in this case, it does.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
So, is the what you're guiding? What's the next thing? Are we discussing our personal experiences? Are we thinking of like outside perceptions? Because I have an experience already in my head.
I was gonna ask if you had something that came to mind just from listening to this list.
I had something before you even read this list.
Wow, what is that something?
Because it's something that I don't even know if I've told you about
Oh,
before. I might have, but it was a long time ago, and it's definitely not
that's
something that I've
exciting.
mentioned on this podcast.
Okay.
So in high school, we had a bunch of fun like electives. We had like night astronomy, and we had metalsmithing and jewelry, and we had show choir, which granted not all schools like have those. We had a couple like, just very fun electives. And I happened to take all three of those ones that I just listed.
Nice.
And I didn't take like the regular art classes. I took the ones that could be a little bit more exploratory. It wasn't like drawing 101.
Yeah.
Um,
I
which
took
is
drawing
which
one.
is a great class. Don't get me wrong. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. But I was like, I want to take metalsmithing and jewelry because I want to tinker. And in that, one thing that we had was we had people from art schools come in
Really?
and kind of, advertise their school, similar to other colleges when we'd have college fairs. But at college fairs, you never really have art schools. It's very
Yeah.
rare. You usually have, 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, community colleges, things like that. For post secondary, not really technical or art schools. And the one person that I remember coming in was from SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Yes.
And I'm sure they came in for drawing one too. Maybe not? No.
I don't remember. So
Well,
I guess
this
it
was
wasn't super impactful for me.
This was a very defining moment. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I'd kind of thought, like, maybe I want to do architecture. I do really like building things and, like, creating things. It seems like a good mix of, like, creativity with also, like, technical skills. And I like that mesh and, like, having that. Because I like being able to choose what I do day to day on different thinking levels.
Yeah.
And they,
Right brain, left brain kind of deal.
exactly.
Yeah.
They came in, and I don't know if this person was just great at their job or
Yeah.
what, but at the end of it, I was like, I am gonna go to this school. Like, I feel so inspired. I don't even really know what programs they have, but like, gosh, I really want to make sure that I go to this school. So I started looking into their programs, and one thing that they had was sustainable design. And I was like,
Cool.
okay, that's quite architecture. I'd kind of been turned away from architecture because I had one very, very boring phone call with my uncle
Oh.
and was not thrilled about it.
That's so
This
funny.
was slightly before, like a year or two before
Yeah.
this person actually came in. And then I saw the sustainable design degree and I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And so I started looking into sustainable design. Long story short, I didn't even apply to SCAD.
Okay.
Eventually, I realized like it's in Savannah, Georgia, and it is just like, maybe maybe I'm not artsy enough. Just a lot of like,
Oh, gotcha.
it's far away, self doubt.
It's
I don't
also
know.
very
Feels
much
like
like a buzzword art school, you
exactly,
know?
but feels like a big jump for me, who's not necessarily the most artistically inclined.
Yeah.
So I chose to not do that, but it did put me on the path of looking at sustainable design like majors and like finding schools that were good in that area.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately why I ended up going to University of Arizona because they had that
Wow.
program. Also, like they had very good funding. Like I applied to a bunch of other schools that were mostly on the West Coast or like, you know, in the western half.
Yeah.
Western half of the Mississippi. And I decided to go to University of Arizona and do that sustainable design program, which then led me to the landscape architecture program.
And where
And
you
lo
are
and
today.
behold, like that's kind of what, yeah, tipped the domino effect.
Wow.
So that was the
That's
inspiration for that. Yeah.
amazing. That's so exciting. Very much. Have you heard the lollipop moment story?
No.
Okay. I might tell it to you if that's okay.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
gonna slightly derail, but then we'll get back on. So there's this great like inspirational speaker who uses this story, and a lot of people have like stolen this story before. So I don't feel too bad for borrowing it to share with you. I will try and find out who this speaker was. Essentially, inspirational speaker is brought into a bunch of different universities. They're there to kind of make people feel ready to go in and like speaks to the freshmen and like entrance class and stuff like that. And so they tell this story about it's the first maybe week, there's a bunch of club fairs, there's just everyone trying to make connections but feeling really awkward, feeling
Yeah.
scared. That first week of college where you're like kind of trying to make eye contact with everyone
Yeah,
but
and
also
see
avoiding
who's
eye contact with everyone because you're like this is a lot of pressure.
yeah.
And so this speaker is in the union and is watching all of these students having these awkward interactions and things like that, and sees these two people who are kind of not really interacting with anyone else, and walks up to this freshman boy and gives him a lollipop and says, hey, I want you to go share this lollipop with that girl standing over there, you know? And so the speaker, he's like, okay, he like saw that this was the inspirational speaker. I don't know if it was before or after the talk or anything like that. But this guy takes the lollipop and he walks over and gives it to the girl. They start a conversation, things like that. So this
The
young boy
speaker
is
comes
now
back.
more a man and finds this speaker after he talks to the incoming class 3 years later and says, I just need to tell you this. You gave me a lollipop, and the girl that I talked to, because of that lollipop, is now my fiance.
Yeah.
And so it's like this moment of, hey, here's a lollipop, go do something. It's like very small, but, they started a relationship. They became friends. He became friends with her roommate. She became friends with his roommate. Now they have a whole, kind of, what am I trying to say? Like friend group, cohort, etc. Started all from this one lollipop at the very beginning of college. And the speaker had no idea that he was going to have such a big impact, blah, blah,
Aw.
blah. Right? So the idea is that sometimes people will do small things out of the goodness of their heart, like share a lollipop to, start a conversation. And without knowing it, they'll completely change the trajectory of someone's life. So,
Yeah, that's kind of like the same like butterfly effect principle.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Also, a fun thing that I learned about the butterfly effect was originally based on a bird. The original paper had like a bird, and they were like, that's less fun. I can't remember what kind of bird it was. It wasn't a fun bird. It was
Yeah.
like
Some like a
a
pigeon.
parrot, like a flamingo or something like that. But I learned about the math behind that. It has to do with ordinary differential equations.
Cool. I
Yeah,
think we put a pin in that.
chaos. Anyways, all you need to know is that math is really neat, and the butterfly effect comes from math.
Cool.
But yeah, so that art teacher who was like, "Hey, I'm gonna have someone from SCAD come in and talk," changed the trajectory of your life without even knowing it,
Yeah.
which is pretty neat.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty significant moment. And it was the first one that popped in my head when you said that. But this begs the question, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
I had a lot of, so obviously I've been thinking about this for more time because I
Hmm.
had the idea for the podcast and I had a
Totally.
lot of things come to mind. But one that really kind of stuck with me was like small decision, big impact, I guess, was deciding to take like a specific research methods course
Hmm.
instead of like a different kind. So in my discipline of communication studies, there's kind of two schools of research that you can go into. You can go into quantitative, which has to do with this idea that like things exist in the world and we're able to discover them and there's some sort of absolute truth,
Yeah.
right? More surveys, more kind of crunching numbers. Does this lead to that? Variables and things like that, which makes a lot of sense for how much I enjoy math and numbers. So that's why I chose that. And then the other one is kind of like qualitative. You know, there are a bunch of different realities that we can like hold at the same time, and it's like interviewing and discovering themes and kind of like allowing what exists in the world to bubble up in front of us, but also knowing that the way that we're perceiving it is affecting the way that we're going to share it with others, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of really subjective things, right? But instead of taking the rhetorical class, I took the social scientific class. And because of that, I had a specific teacher. This teacher, saw something in me, asked me to do independent like research study project with her, and that was like the first moment where I was like, I can do math and communication and it will go together and I can make like a career out of this. Because for a long time I just really enjoyed communication and I had no idea what I was gonna do.
Hmm.
You know, like I was just like, hopefully I'll find a job somewhere doing something,
Mm-hmm.
but I was feeling very like a little bit lost and a little bit like I'm just gonna end up graduating and like teaching
We'll
high
figure
school
it out.
math
Yeah.
and I won't really like it that much, but it'll
Oh.
be fine. It's like I didn't have a whole lot of anything pushing me in a direction, and like choosing to take this class led to the research study, led to the job that I had for the rest of college, led to, having this advisor who was really like helpful and encouraging and things like that. And so like that's why I have the goals that I do now, like for what I think would be success,
Yeah.
discovering new things and sharing it and making the world a better place, blah, blah, blah.
Blah
So,
blah blah. Little
yeah.
things, little things.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
yeah, kind of the same like lollipop moment where it's like, this person saw something in me,
Yeah.
and it was like,
But
I want to help that.
I will say the big difference between our kind of stories is it sounds like mine initially was like a thing that happened to me while yours was a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Like mine, maybe it was like the decision to, look into SCAD. That was the decision I made, but like that occurring to me wasn't necessarily,
Yeah.
or maybe the choice to take that one elective class.
Right.
But it wasn't necessarily like something completely within my control.
Right.
Whereas even though you were in communications and like you had made the choice to do that major, like this was always a class or thing that you had to take,
Yeah.
probably to graduate, and then
Right.
you had like a diverging fork in the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where
Which
it's
is
like I could have
interesting.
taken this or that.
Yeah.
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 Kind of fun. Okay. So we both shared kind of big defining moments, big decisions that affected our life. Now I think it'd be kind of fun, just because I know it's kind of putting you on the spot, to try and think of a bunch of different, like, wow, this changed my life forever moments.
Yeah, fair.
I think it would be fun to talk about, you know, if you got to be in a 5 year time loop, right? So going back to 5 years ago, that's right when we started college. We can even go a little bit before if you want to like change some decisions that you made regarding college. But what would you do differently if you knew that there was no like real repercussions?
Like that I would end up in a similar place?
Like
Or
you wouldn't be stuck there. You know, like
like my quality of life.
if you wanted to try something for 5 years, but then still be able to be where you are now, doing what you do now, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like a different path to the end goal that is like our lives now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it wouldn't change the outcome, it would have just changed your current experience.
yeah,
Because I feel like that's the normal like answer to those. A lot of normal answers like, "Oh, I wouldn't change anything because that would mean I'd be in a completely different place than I am now and I
right,
am so happy and I don't have any regrets." Or like, yeah,
yeah,
that's the whole regret
right,
thing.
right, yeah.
Um,
But if you
yeah.
had the chance to live the past 5 years over again, just for like funsies, what would
Mhm.
you do different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think I would. I graduated high school on a high note, I will
yeah.
say.
I don't know. I think we had a great high school experience. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to everyone who out there who did not have a good high school experience. I understand that that is more of the status quo, and I am sorry for you. But Kira and I, we had a pretty good time.
I had a good last 2 years.
Yeah.
The first 2 years were a little rough.
Well, let's see.
But
The last 2 years, you became friends with me.
yeah, so
So
period, end of
there you are. Just saying.
thought.
Correlation? I think not. Causation. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think I would have okay. The last 5 years. Well, if COVID didn't happen, that would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah, true.
And I think there's a lot of things that could have been changed, like small things, like, oh, I would have done this better and I would have changed XYZ. But one thing off the bat is I would have branched out further freshman year
Okay.
and like done more extravagant stuff. Like,
Okay.
yes, while I was having like, your freshman year and you're going to your first parties and you're meeting these people and they're having such wildly different like lives than you.
Yeah.
That's exciting and stuff, but I still don't think I did that to the fullest extent. And then it was like abruptly stopped for COVID.
Yeah.
So, not having that exist would be great.
Okay. We'll
COVID.
say we'll say in this time loop, COVID doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Then that would have allowed me to have a lot like more friends or like more avenues of friends.
Yeah.
Even though I had great friends
More
in
social circles,
undergrad.
if you will.
But yeah, more social circles, and I think like would have exposed me to more because there are still parts of me that definitely feel like I missed out on like college experiences.
Yeah.
It feels like there's missing pieces there. That was part of my reason for jumping right into grad school
There you
is
go.
to like continue the college experience. Even though grad school is completely different and a lot harder.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. And then also, I don't think I would have graduated in 3 years. I think that's
Really?
the most momentous one.
Okay.
Yeah, aside from like the classes that I would have taken and whatever. Um, I decided to graduate early, one, because COVID was kind of still happening, and two, I knew I wanted to do grad school. I felt like I was always kind of pushed to be on this expedited track because
Mm.
that's what being like an AP kid does to you. You're like, have to keep going and like do
Yeah.
things fast. And I don't know why we have that mindset.
The faster the better.
Yeah, because it's just not really true. At least I don't think so anymore. I've definitely am gotten to this new mindset. It was like, wow, I have so much time and so
Mm-hmm.
many things that like I really want to do before I settle down or do
Yeah,
that
definitely.
regular life goals and milestones that one normally has. And I would have taken that last year. I and probably either done a study abroad that
Mm.
year. I had mentioned it before of like I have a scholarship for 4 years. And that fourth year scholarship could be put towards anything. And it
Yeah.
was kind of at a point, even if COVID did happen, that
Mm.
year was kind of possible still to study abroad.
Yeah.
Um, which was last year.
Yeah.
And I would have gone and done that. And then I'm sure I would have had like a completely different, you know, kind of view on the world. That took
Yeah.
me a long time to get to, but
That's okay.
I think I got that view of the world eventually when I moved to go into grad school and like was kind of a big switch for me and did a study abroad in grad school, but I think a whole year long one is different and it wouldn't
Yeah.
really have changed what I had known. It would have delayed my grad school for a year,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think now that I've gone through it, it would have altered anything significantly. Um, and I think it would have been a very life changing, low stakes like
Yeah,
experience.
definitely.
Besides that, yeah, I was very happy with all of my friends. I maybe would have joined some more clubs. I did join an intramural not hacky sack, beanbag toss team
Wow, that's fun.
my sophomore year, so that was kind of cool. I was in a sorority, so I had some like I had a diverse amount of
Yeah,
experiences.
totally.
Um,
I think you like had a great experience regardless. Like this is not supposed to poke
yeah,
holes in any,
exactly.
this isn't supposed to cause regrets, but it's also just kind of fun
Exactly.
to hypothetically dream,
And it
you know?
like just brings to mind like the good points and the points that you wish you had done something differently.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would have just studied abroad.
Hey, there you go.
A
No, I think
funded
that's super
study
fun.
abroad.
I think that's
Yeah,
super fun. I
which is
love those answers.
certainly
So,
wonderful. But that's kind of the big things that I think of. What about you?
hey,
Unless you have
thanks.
follow-up questions.
I don't think I have any follow-up questions. I think a lot of what you said makes sense, but also I see how you're kind of, I don't know, you're not like being crushed by these regrets because you did still go study abroad.
Yeah, it's like I still fulfilled those like wants and like
Yeah,
holes that I felt that there were.
yeah, definitely.
Um, and I also think that because it could have happened, but I had my reasons at the time.
Yeah,
Like hindsight is 2020, that's what they always say. But at the time I was like, you make the best decision you can with the information that you have
definitely.
at the time. And
Yeah.
I think I definitely made the best decision that I could have,
Mm-hmm.
thinking of what I thought was ahead.
Yeah. You only make decisions that you're confident in, right?
Hmm.
And so it's not like you were gonna make a decision that you thought was gonna turn out for the worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's great. I will say, just kind of like in response to what you were saying, another like very big defining conversation was when I was talking with like I used to call him my school dad because he was my advisor and my like go-to person in my department and everything like that. But he also just gave me really good advice about life and things. And he was the person that like encouraged me to take this like grad gap between
Mm,
undergrad and graduate school.
yeah.
And I'm really glad he did. When we first talked about it, I kind of felt like he was almost discouraging me from going
Mm,
to grad school.
yeah. And it was like,
But
do you think I can't do it or
yeah,
something?
it's
Like,
like,
that's
do
what
I
it
not
feels like.
seem ready? But I think in a lot of ways, I wasn't quite ready. And like, I'm so thankful that I'm having this year to like live with you and Bella and kind of like figure out a little bit more of what I really want to study within the
Hmm.
discipline and things like that and not rushing as much. I
Yeah.
think, I'm very thankful for him talking to me, but it was one of those things where it was kind of like that's a big decision that you're giving me
Yeah.
advice on. And like, I'm glad I listened. I don't really know how I was gonna get to the end of that sentence, but there you are.
It's okay. I think sometimes, like, the big takeaway that I've learned thus far in these 5 years is that everybody needs breaks and everybody needs change in their life.
Yeah,
Change is sometimes really hard, but you need those breaks to figure out what those changes are going to be and, like, to be able to navigate those challenges and changes successfully.
definitely.
So
I think
that's your tip of the
it's a
day.
great takeaway. Take that and write it on a water bottle. So there you go. Yeah, so when I was giving this prompt, the thing that I had in mind already kind of was 5 year time loop. If I end up like still being back in the position that I am now, I think it would be really fun to take that time to just try something like completely different.
Mm.
And I think it'd be really fun to learn law.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like,
Whoa.
obviously, I wouldn't have enough time in the like 5 year time loop starting 5 years ago, but like, if I could shift it a little bit, I think it'd be really fun to like do pre law and like take the LSAT and just kind of
Wow.
like see where I could
She's an
get.
academic.
I think I don't know. I've really been interested by like, Kira and I were talking recently. I love reading about court cases
Mm.
and especially when everything's fake because I don't think that I could really like remove myself
From, like, real life
from
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, real life stuff as well, but obviously time loop, whatever. Just trying something out and I think that it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was kind of my thing. I guess in terms of like paralleling your question, I really enjoyed going to Nebraska. I think I would still say going to Nebraska, but I would like to have joined some sort of academic club
Hmm.
because everybody always has that advice for students when they come in where it's like join one club for fun, one club for school.
Oh,
Did you get that?
maybe.
I don't
I
know.
didn't follow it. I was like, I just want to do
I also
fun
didn't
things.
follow it. I also just wanted to do fun things. And so I think like it would have been cool to be in one of those things. A lot of my friends were in ones, but also a lot of my friends were engineers.
Yeah.
And so that's a little easier for people to be
So
in.
you're talking about, like, maybe, like, organizations?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That are like,
Like
this is the.
Engineers Without
Yeah,
Borders, you
exactly.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there was another one that my friend was in that was like engineering ambassadors. And I kind of wish that there was something that I had joined. There was like a communication studies advisory council, but I don't know what they did,
Yeah. I
you
mean, like,
know?
I was in Arizona Ambassadors, which was like the tour guide group, which isn't
Yeah.
necessarily like school, but
But
it,
a
or
little
like
more like
academics.
professional
Yeah,
kind of focus.
totally.
Yeah, I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, the tour guides are like borderline, like it's like half social. You are giving tours
Yeah.
unpaid to prospective students, but like it was more of a, oh my gosh, you get to meet all these people who are kind of like that same, like, oh, I'm excited about stuff and I like just want to try something new and like, why
Yeah.
not this
Yeah.
kind of thing, but they're not in your normal
Yeah.
wow, social circles.
Kind of like RA vibes, like residence assistant
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah, but you did
Yeah.
that.
I did do that. I did do that. I think it would have been interesting to see what it would have been like to be a residence assistant in a different hall.
Mm.
Because I was in the largest and like the most popular freshman dorm.
And the same one that like you lived in.
It was actually right next door.
Well, but it was the same layout, kind
Yeah,
of. It was the
definitely.
same
Yeah. Super
vibe.
similar. I think it
Hmm.
would have been interesting if I had been a residence assistant in like a different kind of layout, like if I was in the suites or something.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that'd be fun.
also if I had been an RA when COVID wasn't happening,
Yeah.
you know? I'm really glad that I was an RA when COVID was happening because then I still had like a
Community.
community of my other residence assistants, which was like, I don't know, 15 of us, and then also like my entire floor of freshmen that I was guiding through life. I was still able to talk with people and like have those experiences that way. So that was really nice. I'm really glad that it happened the way it did, but also I think it would have been cool to be able to do it not that way as well. But yeah, I also kind of wish that in this 5 year time loop, I was slightly more confident in my dating life earlier on,
Oh, yeah,
you
that I
know?
agree with that one too.
Yeah.
I just kind of, yeah. Continue.
I didn't do much and I didn't have a super high opinion. I had a really high opinion of myself in some instances, but I
Yeah.
think in terms of like being a romantic relationship partner person, I
Hmm.
did not have a very high opinion of myself.
Yeah.
And I think that, 5 year time loop doing it over again, I think it would have been cool to see what like super confident getting out there Sarah could have experienced.
And even just like the yeah, like the stories, the trials and tribulations of dating, like
Yeah.
I think are some of the richest and funniest stories that I
Yeah,
hear from my friends. And I
definitely.
think it was simply also that I certainly did not prioritize dating.
Mm,
I was super content and happy in other things, like whether that be like friendships or like whatever I was doing in school or
totally.
organizations and things like that, that I even like made excuses,
I
you
don't
know.
have time to go
I
on
don't have
dates.
time. I'm about
Yeah.
to leave. And like that was just, a whole different thing. That was like a I'm avidly avoiding this, but I'm pretending that I'm not avoiding this
Yeah,
for
that's
other
fair.
personal reasons. But I think it would have been fun to try and like
Yeah.
see what that would have been like, especially in a place where there's just so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Like in our little town, like when we were going to high school, it wasn't like the pool was super large. So I don't super blame us for not having like these whirlwind high school romances.
Yeah.
But definitely for college, I think we both, played it on the safe side.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think also I had a lot of, not a lot of, I had a couple like friendships that later like I would talk with that person and they were like, "Oh yeah, like I totally liked you." And I'd be like,
Ugh,
"Wait.
why?
What?" Huh? And it's just one of those things where it's like I like the idea of it didn't even cross my mind,
Mm,
And I think that if perhaps it had in the 5 year time loop, there could have been some fun stories,
yeah.
there could have been some wild things and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty fun. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you are.
I mean, those are some good ones. I'm definitely with you.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Thanks. Um, I don't really have any other things. If
Yeah.
Have you thought of any other defining moments that you wanted to share or big decisions?
Yeah, I'm thinking more like a lot of the big decisions I think we've mentioned before, which were definitely like our study abroads, our moving to new places. And those are pretty much outlined in this matrix of
Yeah.
1 through 9 decisions. Um, but I think there's a lot of things that also happen to you that shapes things, like who your freshman year roommate is
Yeah.
and like who you happen to meet in the hallways. And that kind of defines things. So I think back in freshman year, and I didn't really like branch out that far from the people that I was living with.
Yeah.
I very much had a roommate that we met through kind of it wasn't random roommates, but you created your little profile and then you looked at other little people's profiles. And we pretty much very quickly decided that, oh, you're great, you seem cool, let's be roommates.
Yeah.
We met one time in the summer when I was can't remember, but I think I went for orientation.
Oh,
So we
nice.
met that time when I went for orientation, and then we just moved in together. And then our suite mates were random. But we started hanging out with them as you do because they're proximity close. They
Exactly.
seem nice. Great, great,
Hey, do you
great.
want to eat food? We're eating food. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
let's
go
all
eat
eat
food.
food. Exactly, because no one wants to sit alone.
Totally.
And then they kind of brought us into this wider network of people. where I met, yeah, like a bunch of people that I'm no longer friends with because freshman year
Freshman
is
year friends don't usually
some, yes,
stick as
very
much.
few do.
A lot of my wonderful friends stuck because they were frisbee friends
Ah,
instead of like classes and dorm friends.
yeah, and that's a little different too.
Yeah.
But I did have this one friend, and I guess for anonymity's sakes, I won't say his name just in case, that I met through our like weekly board game nights. And
Cute.
it was just like it happened like I was kind of like an add-on friend and he was also like an add-on friend. We weren't necessarily the core of this group that had been forming.
Yeah.
Um and because we met like the first night, like we very much got along well. And then we started all hanging out like in a smaller group, kind of away from that bigger group. And then he was roommates with my roommate, and then I lived in
Nice.
the sorority house,
Aw,
and then I was roommates with him like my last
how
year. And
fun.
you know, friendships change and things like that, but it was one of like the best friendships I made when I was at the University of Arizona, and it was also very much happenstance.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
just happened to end up being connected through this board game night.
yeah,
And there you were.
exactly.
Oh, lovely.
So smaller thing, and I'm sure there's tons of instances like that. People come in and out of your lives, like
Because people come into our lives
we've been
for a
singing
reason.
this song a lot.
It's just been popping in my head.
Yeah.
What can I say?
But there are some
Yeah.
people that just really stick around.
It's true. I was thinking about it because I was like, okay, going all the way back to high school. I know, crazy. But I auditioned for show choir because I, on a whim, decided to join marching band. And
Mm.
the only other girl who was in my grade in marching band was like, I'm auditioning for show choir. You should too.
Wow.
So I wasn't even gonna do it. I wasn't like seeking it out myself, but she was like, "Hey, we're friends. We should do
Mm-hmm.
this thing together. Wouldn't it be so fun if we both got in?" And I ended up getting into show choir. I did not really enjoy it my first year
It's because I
because
wasn't there yet.
so true. Kira ended up getting into show choir. Kira's friend and then also my friend, right? So I became friends with this person at the beginning of show choir because Kira wasn't there, obviously. And then Kira came in and I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. They're better friends. This girl that Kira and I were both friends with ended up leaving the school.
Yeah, she transferred.
And, I think a lot,
That
not
was
a
kind of
lot of
like
the
someone,
reason
a,
that we
a
became
catalyst.
friends, but it was definitely like a huge, like, contributing factor to us getting closer in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I am so thankful all the time that she left and went to a different school. Like it was a healthy thing. Like she just wanted to go to an art school that would get her more opportunity.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
great. Love it. But I'm just like so glad that we became better friends because of that.
I know.
Because now we live together.
Now we live together.
And we
We're
have
roommates.
a podcast
And we have
together.
podcasts. We did
Which is just
crosswords
so
and board
fun.
games and
It's
puzzles.
so many puzzles. We just bought a new puzzle from the Ben Franklin craft store that I mentioned earlier. No free advertising, but you guys should check out that store.
If they were listening and wanted to sponsor,
Hey, I would be so down.
I know we make
or if they
jokes
just
every
wanted to
single
give me a
time.
job.
That too. That too.
Doot, doot, doot.
Um,
Yes, I am fun employed right now. Full-time podcaster right now. Maybe that's what I should tell people. I'm also, for those of you who are my friends and really just want the juicy details, I am back on the dating apps.
Oh my gosh.
Gasp. I'll share
Yeah.
that with the pod.
I've been new, but I didn't want to bring it up just in
It's
case
true.
you didn't want to talk about
True,
it.
true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it'd be fun to A, meet a couple more people in Seattle, and B, just do some activities that I probably wouldn't do normally on my own or with you
Yeah.
guys, 'cause
Exactly.
like going to a restaurant, trying some new food. We will do that sometimes, but other times we feel kind of broke and
Yeah.
we can eat together in our house that we live in together. Oh,
Well, and I
yeah,
haven't mentioned this yet, but yeah, I am not necessarily on the market at the
that's
moment.
true.
So, and I'm not expecting to be anytime soon. So I can't have any fun, crazy dating shenanigans, but you can,
Hey, there
and
you
we can
go.
talk about them on the podcast.
Totally.
But yeah, side note, I do think like being in a relationship now has been like, wow, I should have done more fun things in college even more.
Yeah.
Like it's just fun to have another person like that is in a different kind of context to go out and do stuff with.
Yeah,
Date
totally.
dates are fun.
Totally. Dates
Dates
are
can
cute.
be fun. Dates can also be really
Dates can
bad.
also be unfun.
But
Hey, I'll keep you posted on the kinds of dates that I end up going on, because who's to say? Who's to say? We'll
we
see.
are limiting it to not 30-year-olds,
Yes, yes, we are trying to go because the apps afford us demographic information.
which is lovely.
Lovely. The modern technology. Oh, glorious. Yes, we are limiting our age range to be a bit closer to our timeline. No one else should say, "Oh, the last time I read a comic was 1998." Not that there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no more guessing.
Yeah, right.
We'll know.
No surprises.
Unless you
Other
meet someone
surprises, I
out in the
suppose.
wild.
It's true, who knows? Maybe I will. I
Don't
will
worry,
say,
we'll update you.
also, for my friends who would like the updates, I joined a women's ultimate frisbee league. Very excited. Kira already knows this, but I'm so jazzed, you guys. I was super sore for like 2 days just from the little beginners clinic that I went to, which really is just a testament to how out of shape I've become. Living with Kira, I blame her. No.
No.
No. Just kidding.
Okay, that was like uncalled for.
No.
But
I'm
okay.
just joking.
Just hibernate in the winter. Can you blame me?
It's
In the
so
summer,
hard
it's
to get
significantly more fun.
outside right now. I Bella and I were talking. I don't know if the pod really needs to hear this, but we're just kind of blabbing now. We're thinking about getting vitamin D from Costco and all just splitting the costs.
I do not need vitamin D.
Wow.
I bought it
Okay.
last year and never used it. But
Wow.
you guys should split it.
Did you not use it because you didn't see an impact?
I tried and then I kept forgetting to take it. And then I took it on only days that it was cloudy. Because I was like, I don't need to take it on sunny days.
That's so
Which is
funny.
not how it works. But I was like not super sad, um, and felt like I wasn't deficient, which was probably not true. I'm sure I was vitamin D deficient. But I don't know where that is now, even though I bought a whole bottle of it.
Shoot.
So, but you
Okay.
guys should do that.
Bella and I are gonna go in on some, mostly just because I can't have a conversation with a person now without them being like, "Oh my gosh, are you taking vitamin D?"
Why?
I don't know, just because I like moved here recently, and also I'm like, it's so dark out, and then
I
they're
think
like,
light
that's
does
the
not
easiest.
affect me as much. Like I notice it and I'm like, it's annoying that I wake up now and it's like kind of dark outside still. That sucks. But I think that I am maybe acclimated to it now, maybe.
Okay,
But I was also fine with it last year. To be fair, last year I did not go outside that much in the winter because I was having a horrible school quarter.
you were stuck in the
Yeah, I
studio.
was just like the fluorescents were on all the time, and I was like, I don't even know what time of day it is. What does it matter?
That's so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not been going outside a whole lot. Not because I don't have the time to, but mostly just because I've been sewing.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
is really fun. I bought some new fabric today from Ben Franklin. There you are again. But yeah, I'm really excited to use it and do it and have some fun. But anyways, I think we are wrapping up.
Yeah. I think this was super fun.
Yay.
Domino effects and butterfly effects.
Defining moments, big decisions, time loops.
Yeah.
I would also, sorry, just a note, I would also have danced more. I always think that dancing more is good. And it's so silly because I feel like I don't make a lot of efforts to prioritize dancing in my life, but I love it. It
I mean, you
brings
did take
me
a dance
joy.
class.
I did take a dance class.
Yeah.
I very well might take another dance class. We'll have to see when the next session starts.
I might take a dance class too, but a different dance class through the university.
Oh, nice. Hey, one of the people who ran my dance classes is like visiting teacher for the university.
That's exciting.
So you might have the same person. That's
Maybe so,
pretty fun.
maybe so.
Cute. Okay.
But, anyways, thank you so much for listening to us wherever you are in the world right now.
We post podcasts every Wednesday to Spotify and to YouTube. Definitely subscribe to us on YouTube if you have an account and do it like that. Give us a thumbs up, do the whole thing. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Love it. Again, this video will on YouTube have a picture, which is pretty exciting stuff. Maybe for the second half only. We'll see. In terms of editing.
We didn't turn on camera in the first half,
Yeah,
but you didn't even notice, did you?
I'm sure you didn't. Anyways, also go ahead and follow us on Instagram. We don't post often, but when we do, it's gold.
Quality.
So just it's really quality over the quantity right now. So share us with your friends, share us with your enemies, share us with your mom, share us with, the person who created a defining moment in your life.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Add
Or
like a thank you note. Say, hey, I want you to listen to this podcast, specifically this episode, because you did this for me.
reach out to your freshman friends and
Yeah,
just send them the podcast.
totally,
Slip it in.
totally. Be like,
Reconnect.
hey, I remember you. If I was in a 5-year time loop, I would still be friends with you. And just send it over. But anyways,
We really enjoyed talking to you this day, evening, or night, whatever time you're listening to it. And we will talk to you next time on
arguably speaking,
Bye.
bye.